Now at 5, the latest on the scheduled execution of a man who killed 4 people in Missouri. Plus, how area communities will handle road damage after winter weather. And
President Biden is set to deliver his second State of the Union address tonight. I'm Skyler Henry on Capitol Hill, where he's expected to tout his administration's wins while also calling on Congress to act on key issues.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Missouri's governor gives the green light for the execution this evening of a man who murdered 4 people, including 3 children. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. Governor Mike Parson confirms the state will move forward with the execution of Raheem Taylor. Taylor is scheduled to die by lethal injection for the deaths of his live-in girlfriend, Angela Rowe, and her 3 children, ages 5, 6, and 10, in 2004. The execution would be the third for Missouri in 3 months, following those of Kevin Johnson and Amber McLaughlin. Johnson was executed November 29th for killing a Kirkwood, Missouri police officer. McLaughlin was put to death on January 3rd for fatally stabbing a woman in St. Louis County. President Biden is set to deliver his second State of the Union address tonight before a politically divided Congress. Skyler Henry reports from Washington.
President Biden will deliver his second State of the Union address tonight, touting Democratic wins.
We've been able to deliver more for the American people than ever before
a newly empowered Republican House.
The state of our union is struggling under the weight of President Biden's far-left extremist agenda.
The White House says the president will highlight what he considers to be his administration's economic accomplishments, including a bipartisan infrastructure law, investments in computer chips and clean energy, and a strong January jobs report that pushed the unemployment rate to a 54-year low. But a new CBS News poll finds many Americans say President Biden's policies are making inflation, gas prices, and the overall economy worse. President Biden is expected to highlight areas where he believes Democrats and Republicans can find compromise, as well as draw some clear political lines. Among the guests in the First Lady's box tonight, Paul Pelosi, the husband of the former House Speaker, who survived a politically motivated attack in their home, U2 frontman and AIDS activist Bono, and the parents of Tyree Nichols, who died after he was beaten by Memphis police.
I want to talk to the American people and let them know the state of affairs, what's going on, what I'm looking forward to working on from this point on.
The primetime address comes as President Biden marks the second half of his first term. He'll be making a case for finishing the job as he moves closer to launching a 2024 presidential campaign. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who was previously President Trump's press secretary, will deliver the official Republican response. Live coverage of the address and response begins tonight at 8 on KOAM TV and Fox 14. Rescuers are facing and racing against time to pull survivors from the rubble before they succumb to cold weather 2 days after an earthquake tore through southern Turkey and war-ravaged northern Syria. The death toll has climbed above 7,700 and is expected to rise further. The last 2 days have brought some dramatic rescues, but there's also widespread despair and growing anger at the slow pace of rescue efforts in some areas. Let's check in with meteorologist Sam Lane for a first look at the weather.
Thank you very much, Dow. It's been a rainy day across the area. You can see on radar right now there's quite a bit of rain, mainly along and south of I-44, stretching from Neosho over towards Miami, Fairland and Afton, down towards Veneta, right down into Highway 69. It's basically staying right along and south of I-44. We do expect the rain to advance a little bit further later on tonight. Temperatures dropping through the 40s, all the way down to 40 degrees tonight. And over the last 36 hours, you can see that yesterday was pretty nice with temperatures in the 60s, even close to 70. But today they've been basically stuck in the 40s, and it's going to stay that way through the rest of the evening. In fact, looking ahead, we're going to have some rain tonight, a wet Wednesday, and maybe even mixing over with or changing to snow on Thursday morning, and especially on Friday. And I'll have all the details on that coming up in just a little bit.
See you then. The city of Joplin gave us a sneak peek at how they manage the road conditions after winter storms. Vehicles like snowplows and street sweepers start working on the street right after a winter storm is over. If there's a pothole after the snow, well, the city temporarily fixes it. Asphalt factories are closed during winter months. The city does permanent hole fillings during the summer.
What you will see is during the summer months, that's when we do the, of course, patching the potholes. You can't do the permanent patches in the wintertime because the asphalt plants are not open. So we have to wait, so we do temporary patches.
Pouring asphalt in cold weather will damage the road even more, and the asphalt, they say, will not set correctly. For years now, the War Wagon has carried family and friends to Arrowhead Stadium. Chiefs season ticket holders Chad Como, manager of Como Jewelry in Pittsburgh, and Chris Keller, manager of Joplin Como Jewelry, gear up for the big games. The War Wagon will take a break during the Super Bowl this Sunday as the two celebrate at home with their friends.
It's our hobby. Yeah. A lot of people hunt, fish, golf. We participate in
tailgate and go to Chiefs games.
Boy, you gotta love the clothes. Como and Keller have been season ticket holders for 16 years, and the War Wagon isn't the only Chiefs memorabilia those friends own. Como Jewelry in Pittsburgh is filled with Chiefs decor. Still ahead, new research concerning expectant mothers and their babies.
Protecting newborns from a serious but vaccine-preventable disease. I'm Jennifer Bisram with the push to get pregnant women vaccinated against whooping cough.
Plus, the potential link between vitamin D and the risk of diabetes. Those stories next in Health Watch. Topping today's Health Watch, the CDC is encouraging pregnant women to take important steps to protect against whooping cough in newborns. Jennifer Bisram reports.
The percentage of pregnant women who get vaccinated against whooping cough dropped during COVID. But now there's a new push to increase those numbers. A new CDC study links Tdap vaccination during pregnancy to reduce rates of whooping cough in newborns. The findings show Tdap vaccination given during the third trimester prevents more than 3 in 4 cases of whooping cough in infants younger than 2 months old. Researchers say the protection is critical because those first few months are when infants are most likely to have serious complications and be hospitalized or even die if they get the highly contagious respiratory tract infection. The CDC recommends pregnant women get the Tdap vaccination during weeks 27 to 36 of pregnancy to boost their antibodies and pass those antibodies on to their infants. The agency says anyone who comes in close contact with infants should be up to date with their whooping cough vaccinations as well. Jennifer Bisram, CBS News, New York.
The CDC says about 55% of pregnant women in the U.S. in 2019 were vaccinated against whooping cough. Vitamin D might help lower the risk of diabetes for some vulnerable patients. Researchers at Tufts University found higher vitamin D intake was associated with a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes for about 10 million adults who have prediabetes. Researchers say patients should discuss potential benefits and harms of vitamin D supplements with their doctor. Being married could help you maintain lower blood sugar levels. That's according to a new study in the BMJ journal, which found people living with a spouse have a higher likelihood of having healthy levels of blood sugar. The research found the same was true among married couples, regardless of whether they were married and where the marriage was harmonious, rather. The study looked at adults age 50 and older and determined having a spouse or cohabiting partner may play a role in your health in mid to later life. And people from the least wealthy backgrounds are more likely to have mental health disorders later in life. A new study looked at socioeconomic conditions of the participants at age 30 and then compared their mental health at age 52. And found there was a higher risk among those who had a lower socioeconomic position. Researchers say more preventative measures need to reach those at risk. That is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, protecting our kids from what's online.
When is the last time you checked your child's online activity? I'm Dina Demetrius with expert tips on this Safer Internet Day.
And we had a lot of rain across the area. I'll be back to let you know if we're going to have any more rain and also a chance of snow when we return. Well, as expected, we expected a lot of rain today, and we've certainly had it across the area, especially folks down to the south and east of the metro area. Right now in Seneca, Missouri, you can see the clouds holding in tight there and also quite a bit of wet pavement there. They've had quite a bit of rain down there at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, and that's going to continue for the evening hours as we see more rain developing back towards the south and west. This afternoon we only made it up to 49, started out at 42, so it was a very short thermometer today. Of course, that was above the normals of 27 and 48, not anywhere close to those records of 72 and 4 degrees. Rainfall amounts, as I said, some areas got quite a bit. You see here in the green, this is where an inch or more fell, an inch and a half down towards northern Rogers County. A few isolated spots in the metro area around an inch, but notice very tight gradient. Not very much rain fell up towards the north and west in places like Chanute and Fredonia and Howard, and it's going to stay that way through the evening hours. You can see on radar live right now, most of the rain is along and south of I-44, and that's the way it's going to stay for most of the evening hours. You can see this Bear Clinic zone setting up very nicely here, and so that's where we expect most of the precipitation for this evening. You can see on satellite view, more rain developing back towards Texas. That's streaming up in our direction, but another storm system now moving on shore on the west coast, and yet another storm behind that one. So we have a parade of storms to deal with in our forecast. But this evening, we have mostly cloudy skies. In Joplin, 45 degrees, north wind at 6, feels like 42 with that a little bit of a wind chill. Dew point's 37, and the pressure is currently steady. Temperatures across the area are generally in the 40s, a few 50s sprinkled in, like Chanute with 51, where they've had less rainfall and more sunshine. 53 in Yates Center for the warm spot. Down in northwest Arkansas, though, 41 degrees currently in Bella Vista. Rain chances this evening are going to be pretty much in the high category all evening long into tomorrow morning. And then we also have a chance of a mix-over as we go through tomorrow night into early Thursday. In fact, here's a look at your forecast, breaking it down for you. Lots of rain across the area tonight and into tomorrow morning. And then as we go through the day tomorrow, more rain will still be developing across the area, and the storm system will basically be centered over Grove. Notice the wind's kind of turning back around to the north and west behind that system. That moves up through, and then notice on the back side, we get a mixture across our area with temperatures in the 30s by the time we go into Thursday morning. That storm system moves away, but yet we have another piece of energy dropping down into Thursday night and Friday, and look at this. More snow developing across our area with temperatures in the 30s as we go into Friday morning. Rainfall amounts are expected to be the highest down to the south as expected, especially across northwest Arkansas and south central Missouri, where some places could pick up over 2 inches, and then of course lesser amounts further to the north and to the west. Looking down the road, here's the storm system that's over us now. That will move away, bring in some colder air. Then here comes second storm system moving into that cold air, and that's why we're thinking the chance of snow as we go into Friday. That system moves away, and yet another storm system starts to make its presence known towards Valentine's Day. In fact, here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Rain tonight and tomorrow, switching over to maybe a little bit of mixture late tomorrow night, Thursday morning, a better chance of that mixture on Friday morning, then warmer for the weekend, Dow, but then for your sweetheart, rain on Valentine's Day with a high of 52 degrees.
Well, it's a good time to stay inside, I guess. So if you're going to go out to a restaurant.
There's the silver lining.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks, Sam. Just had some tips for parents on this Safer Internet Day. Topping today's Consumer Watch, many Americans haven't been getting their email for the past few hours. In a couple of days, in fact, Microsoft Outlook is experiencing an outage. Last night, officials with the tech giant said they were looking into access and service issues. Microsoft later tweeted that, quote, a recent change is contributing to the cause of impact. So far, there's no word on how widespread the problems are or when the matter will be resolved. On this Safer Internet Day, safety experts are focusing on children and encouraging parents to talk to their kids about life online. Reporter Dina Demetrius shows us while the conversations can be difficult, they are vital.
This Minnesota mother says her 14-year-old son thought he was chatting with a pretty teen girl on Instagram.
He started crying, he had his phone in his hand, and he just said, my life is over.
But within a day, their friendly rapport turned intimate, manipulative, and dangerous.
He ended up taking images of himself in exactly the way they instructed, which included images with his face in them.
Investigators say that teen girl was actually suspects in Nigeria who threatened the boy's life if he didn't send money.
Sextortion that isn't about sex. It's straight up blackmail, financial sextortion. And their target is most often our young boys, anywhere from 10 to 17 years of age.
The FBI says it's a fast-growing online crime that victimized more than 3,000 U.S. teens in 2022.
Kids are a target because maybe they don't always understand the consequences of their actions of sharing.
Experts say while sextortion and cyberbullying are the most dangerous online threats to kids, phishing is the most common.
They have all sorts of different ways that actually a cyber criminal can exploit them and get money out of them.
Experts say handing a phone to a child for the first time should come with conversations about online safety. They recommend parents show kids how to recognize suspicious emails and texts, set up multi-factor authentication, and explain the consequences of intimate photos.
If your kid makes a mistake, you want them to come to you. This isn't something we should reprimand our kids about. This is something we should teach them positively.
Building trust between parents and children to keep online threats from turning into real-life dangers. Dina Demetrius, CBS News, Los Angeles.
In case a child gives out personal information, parents can monitor suspicious activity on their child's social security number through credit tracking agencies. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, Microsoft launches new artificial intelligence. What you should know about this new AI software. Then on KOAM News at 6, police search for a suspect in a shooting today in Joplin. Plus, Ascension Via Christi Hospital in Pittsburgh launches a program aimed at delivering critical medicine at low to no cost to people in low incomes. And Missouri Southern women move up in the national rankings ahead of Saturday's rivalry game against Pitt State. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Super Bowl week is underway in Arizona, home of Super Bowl 57. That means a whole lot of hype, as you might imagine. Thousands of journalists, analysts, and really anyone who can wrangle a press pass are there to watch nearly everything the Chiefs and Eagles do ahead of Sunday's game. Chris Van Cleve reports from Glendale, just outside Phoenix.
For Kenneth Gainwell, this moment is the stuff dreams are made of.
It's kind of wild to just think about it all your life. Every Super Bowl you watching the game, now it's your turn to go out there and do it.
Kenneth Gainwell! He now plays for the team he grew up rooting for. Touchdown!
Because I'm an Eagle fan, and just getting the opportunity to be on the Eagles and to be in the Super Bowl, it's amazing.
The spotlight is expected to shine brightest on two black starting quarterbacks for the first time in Super Bowl history. Jalen Hurts.
This is the mecca of all football. This is the game of all games.
And Patrick Mahomes.
It's gonna be a heck of a football game.
They're also breaking ground by having the youngest combined age among two starting quarterbacks in the big game. Ticket reseller Ticket IQ claims the average price for a seat at the Super Bowl is approaching $10,000.
When it comes to a Super Bowl, is it harder to plan one or plan one?
Definitely harder to plan it.
Former Arizona Cardinal Larry Fitzgerald Jr., who played in Super Bowl 43, is now on the planning committee.
When you're planning it, all you're thinking about is what the defense is going to do to you, right? You know, when you're thinking about planning the Super Bowl and where you're going to host and, you know, availability of convention centers and where you're going to do all of these things.
Eagles center, Jason Kelce!
One thing Eagles center Jason Kelce is likely planning, a route to the nearest hospital. Kelce says his wife, Kylie, who is nearly 9 months pregnant, is bringing her OBGYN to the game.
Well, I'm going to view it as motivation. I got a third daughter coming, and I'm going to have to be the best dad I can be.
We'll be hearing a lot about the Kelce family this Super Bowl. Jason's brother Travis plays on the Chiefs. And of course, if that baby comes, the entire Kelce family will be here to cheer her on. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Glendale, Arizona.
Her dad and uncle both being the Super Bowl as perhaps she's being born. How wild is that?
That's pretty amazing.
If you're not wanting to shell out that $10,000 for a seat, the good news is it will be televised on our sister station, Fox 14 on Sunday.
That's right.
The weather in the meantime.
It looks great if you like rainfall. That's for tonight and tomorrow. Maybe switching over to some snow late Wednesday night into early Thursday morning, but a better chance of that on Friday morning. And then warmer for the weekend. And then more rain just in time for Valentine's Day. And then Dow looks like a major cold front starts to move into our area late next week. So we'll have plenty of time to look at that, though.
I guess we will. Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. We'll see you right back here at 6. Let's make it a great evening.